with comedian David Boyle, and I'm quitting alcohol. So we had an Indian tradie over here today, and I had to fucking deal with them. So it's been rainy as fuck here for like the last week, and when it's heavily raining, the roof starts leaking. So yesterday during the day, it started raining, and I went to the bedroom and I waited for the roof to start leaking, and it didn't start leaking. So I'm like, all right, it must only leak when it's really heavy rain. So later that night, it started raining again, and it was fucking belting down. So I'm like, obviously what's happening on the roof is it's pooling up somewhere, and then it's flooding down and coming through the cracks somehow. So this morning I went onto the roof, and the entire roof is dry except for this one corner. And that corner is exactly where the fucking leak is coming from. Because the roof is all waterproofed, and it's waterproofed pretty well, but that corner where it's all pulling up, the waterproofing hasn't gone up onto the bricks. It's just on the ground. So when it pulls up there, the water's just sitting there and it's finding its way down through the slab and it's starting to leak. So I tell my wife's parents, all you need to do is drill a hole through here, get a little bit of a fucking drainage hole happening, put a fucking pipe in there or whatever, maybe two. But that's all you need to do, a couple of holes so the water can drain out and it doesn't puddle up. And that's all sweet. Then the fucking Indian tradie comes over. And Indian tradies are the same as any other fucking tradie. They rock up to the job and they start coming in with their own fucking theories and their own way to do it. Hey, shut up. I called you here to drill a fucking hole, not replace the whole fucking roof, alright? That's how you got to talk to tradies everywhere. Otherwise, they won't fucking listen. They won't listen anyway, but you got a better chance if you're like, hey, how about you shut up and do what you fucking told? Everyone loves a boss like that. Shut up. I remember when I was first on job sites, and most of construction is fucking common sense. So I would see something, I would be like, I'm not too sure, is that meant to be sticking out like that? And whoever my boss was, it was the same every time. It was, shut up. How about shut up? How about you let the fucking professionals work this out? And it's three dudes standing together that didn't complete year 8 maths. Dropped out when they were 13. These guys are in charge. So anyway, he's like, show me where the leak is. I'm like, don't worry about the leak. Don't worry about the leak. And he's like, no, I need to see the leak. There's a crack in the slab. I'm like, hey, there's no crack in the fucking slab. And I had to yell out to my wife. I'm like, can you come up here and start translating for me? And so she comes up and I'm like, can you tell him this? Can you tell him not to worry his little head about where the leak is coming from, and come upstairs with me and I'll tell him what to do. And so she starts translating to this guy, and it sounds like she's having like a fucking picnic with him. I'm like, no, babe, can you fucking translate it the same way I'm saying it and with the same attitude? Just say, don't worry your little fucking head about it. Just come the fuck upstairs with me, all right? So we get up there. I explain it to him through my wife. I'm like, we just need a couple of fucking drainage holes here. I came up here this morning. It was pulled up here. It was the only place on the roof where it was pulled up, and that's where the leak's coming from. The water's getting over the waterproofing and seeping through somehow. And he's like, no, there's a big crack in the slab somewhere. We're going to have to reconcrete the whole roof and have it on a slant so all the rainwater runs to this other drain over here. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I know what he's trying to do. He's trying to fucking upsell. And so I said to my wife, I'm like, there's no fucking crack in the slab. It'd be coming out all over the shop, and there's fucking waterproofing over it anyway, so it wouldn't even be coming through there. It's getting over where it's pulled up here. And I'm like, tell him that. Tell him we don't need a fucking new concreted roof. Tell him. And she's like, can you stop being so rude? I'm like, listen, if I'm not here, you're going to have a whole fucking extra story on your fucking house. All it needs is 2 fucking drilled holes, and you'll have a fucking canopy on there or some shit. Which I also said was the only fix a couple of weeks ago before I sussed it out. So anyway, he sort of relents. He's like, all right, I'll get the plumber in. We'll drill a hole. Where do you reckon we should drill the hole? I'm like, all right, just put it fucking here. That's where it's pulling up the most. Then he goes downstairs. Turns out he's not like the tradie. He's like a family friend. He's like a family friend, so I was like abusing the fuck out of one of their family friends. But anyway, let's move it right along. It is Fucked Up Friday. Listeners Story Day. If you would like to send in your Fucked Up Friday story, hit me up on social media. I'm Boyle Comedy on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, or email it to me on boylecomedy@gmail.com. And for those of you who have joined the Patreon, just send it directly into the Patreon. Also, the Patreon is up to 65 people. I said I would start an hour podcast when we get to 200 people. There is a backlog of Fucked Up Friday stories that need to make it into the world. So let's get to 200 fucking Patreons. So when I get to 200 Patreons, I'm going to do an hour-long podcast. I'm going to bash out a few more Fucked Up Friday stories. I'll get the occasional guest on. I can talk about my abs and my balls and Adrian for a little bit longer on a Friday once I hit 200 subscribers. Anyway, I have some time up my sleeve before I get to 200, so let's get into this week's Fucked Up Friday story. This is from one of the babes. It's been a little bit of a sausage fest lately, and a lot of the stories to come, there's a lot of jizz stories to come. So let's break it up with one from the fucking ladies. So this one was sent in by the lovely Amy over there in fucking Dublin. So let's get into it. It was a cold New Year's Eve in Dublin many moons ago. Fuck, girls really struggle telling stories. What are you, Charles Dickens? This better get better. You're representing Team Twang here. So the night had been planned to a T by my close friends who all happened to rely on drugs and drinking a lot more than most. All I had to do was get my glad rags on and jump into their world of raving and not giving a fuck. We were 19. I, unlike them, had never been to raves or taken drugs or even lost my virginity. Huh? An Irish girl made it to 19 without getting fucked. I've never heard anything like that. You must be like in the 1%. So you made it out of high school a virgin. There were no virgins left by year 9 at my school. Even the nerds were fucking each other. Respect though, you didn't give up that puss easy. So, even lost my virginity. I mean, I wasn't a nerd or uncool, but the blokes I knew were ugly as sin. Yeah, fuck them. Let them fuck the fatties. The more I think about it, you probably had to reject a lot of fucking people to stay a virgin in Ireland until you were 19. The guys I knew were ugly as sin and drugs seemed too risky before then. That night was the night I was going to put my big girl boots on and change that. Pills, ecstasy, X, whatever you want to call it, I was ready. Hold on, are you trying to lose your virginity too? I fucking hope so. That's the story I want to hear. So there was a decent group of us all heading to some newish club early where our names were going to be on the door and a seating area beside the dance floor reserved. At 19, we thought we were fucking legends with this treatment. One of my mate's fellas was a 21-year-old drug dealer. One of my mate's fellas was a 21-year-old drug dealer with an awful coke dependency. He had hooked us up. He was really lovely apart from the dealing and the chunks of blood flying out of his nose when he sneezed. We rocked up to the club and everything was going to plan. Myself and the girls hit the toilets with the pills in my mate's bra and dropped one each. Almost as soon as we left the toilet, I felt the scary but exciting bubbling of the pill throughout my veins. It was glorious. That kind of makes me want to take a pill right now. The music started to seem louder and everyone was dancing like their favorite tune was banging. Was it just me or was everyone in this place really, really fucking beautiful looking? At some point, one of my mates gave me another pill and the love buzz exploded. I walked up to a tall, dark and handsome stranger and told him he was beautiful and he took my face and kissed every inch of it. He bought me a drink at the bar and explained I was off my face for the first time. He assured me everyone in the club was. I told him I would find him later because I really needed to go back to my mates to tell them all how much I loved them. The night continued on with me loving my mates and then finding him for a passionate kiss and going back and forth between him and them. and them and him until bang, he fucking plowed me on the dance floor to the Venga Boys, and that's how I lost my virginity. I am glad I waited 19 years for that special, special moment. I never saw him again, and now I have 17-year-old twins. Oof, that joke was too real. So anyway, let's get back to the story. Bang! I was hit with this cold, dead feeling in my gut. I went from telling people they had beautiful auras to calling people dosey cunts. Is it dosey or dousey? Cunts. And yelling at them to get away from me. I sat down at our table with a couple of my mates and they were explaining to me I was coming down. If you're still out, that's when your friends need to ply you for more drugs or more booze. You shouldn't be coming down in the club. So then the beautiful bloke comes over asking to buy me a drink. Then another one looking just like him. And then another one. Amy, who are these fellas? Asked the next one, the original tall chap. Until there were 5 of these tall blokes all calling me by my name. I had gone from having the night of all nights to coming down and trying to sidestep 5 blokes I had worn the face off and confessed my undying love to, because I thought they were all the same person. My mate pulled me aside to warn me there will be others. We were all keeping an eye on you and the slutting around was harmless, so we left you to it. But there is at least 5 more fellas. Jesus Christ, for a virgin, you do a pretty good job. Fuck, I needed to get out of there before the clock struck midnight. No way I was kissing any other fuckers. Me and my mate grabbed our shit and ran out of there and left no explanations. The Irish exit is very much real. Yeah, I know. I fucking used it all the time. I still use it even though I'm sober. On the way home, I got kicked up the ass by a homeless man because I told him to go fuck himself when he tried to rob my mate's joint out of her hands, the fucking prick. I could barely sit down without pain for days, nor could I eat for weeks. The hunger strike was partly due to the pills and partly due to the fucking fear I had of being the tramp of the club and getting caught. Anyway, I regret nothing and I learned nothing, and I have done it all again and again. The Irish are all sluts anyway, Boiler. We're a good-looking nation. She actually wrote that bit. I'll just repeat it. The Irish are all sluts anyway, Boiler. We're a good-looking nation. I don't know about good-looking. Didn't the Vikings come and steal all the hotties and take them back to Sweden? And the Irish were left with the fucking scraps? That's what I heard anyway. But thanks for the story. Appreciate it. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you the fuck later.